Hi, everyone. Today, I'm joined by Mike Jezoshek, CPA, brand ambassador at Insight, and also founder and host of the Small Business Tax Saving Podcast. For those of you who don't know, Insight is a full service accounting practice located out of West Palm Beach, Florida, offering accounting, bookkeeping, taxation, payroll, and advisory services. Mike and his team are industry leading practice that puts technology first for small, medium business owners. Mike also doubles up, as I mentioned, as the founder and host of the Small Business Tax Saving Podcast, which has a mission of helping hardworking business owners overcome complicated taxation rules, which can often lead to overinflated tax bills. Thanks for joining us today, Mike.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Super excited.
Awesome. And I know that there is a lot of internal discussions that are had with firms when evaluating the internal process, like as you mentioned, bank reconciliation or project management and workflow management. But when we also talk to some firms, it's really interesting to understand that they have a certain tech stack that they look to recommend to clients. So, that's obviously outside of your Xeros and your QuickBooks Online, because, typically they would already have been chosen by the business coming to you. How does Insight go about, I guess, recommending different types of apps and different types of technologies to your clients? Because something that we have seen is that clients are quite resistant to the adoption of technology because they always associate that time commitment at day zero. Is it something that I guess your sales team or your accountants and your bookkeepers look to say, look, this 30-minute session that will walk you through this technology will bring you hours on a weekly basis? How does Insight go about that?
Yeah, and it's not only that too, but also, a lot of times someone will come with a current solution or software that they're using,
Mhm.
and now we're trying to change it, and that's, I think, even a harder job. But the sales oftentimes, and I think as accountants, we're hard to. We don't give ourselves enough credit. We don't say like, hey, we are the expert in this relationship. Sometimes accountants they're very humble people,
Mhm.
and a lot of times they'll sit back and be like, okay, if this person is really confident about this, then we're just going to believe them. We're going to use the software that they want to use. When in reality, that person likely doesn't know the options that are out there. They don't know, the
Yeah.
client doesn't know really what the solution is. And that's where we come in is ultimately, if we're being hired by someone, we are the experts. And so it's working on that confidence level of saying, having the confidence to be like, no, we have a better solution for this, and providing some feedback behind why it's a better solution. And I think sometimes you run to the issue where they might be on a software that we're not that familiar with. And a lot of times that's how we find software too. That's how we found Xero. We were a QuickBooks Online company, and a client came to us that was using Xero. And so we didn't necessarily jump to the conclusion that QuickBooks Online is the better option for them. We wanted to check out their software and make sure that our decision is still correct. And so I think that that's one thing that there's two pieces there. When you have a tech stack that you really enjoy, more likely than not, you've done enough training on it. You've done enough actually utilizing it in real life to understand why it's better, as well as testing out the competitors. If you have two software do the same thing, more than likely, if that's in your core tech stack, you have checked out the competitor at some point, and there's a reason why you prefer this one or the other one. And so I think it's taking that cumulative knowledge that you have and presenting that to the client, saying, this is our tech stack, and here's why. We don't have software XYZ in our tech stack because we feel ABC does this area better. But I also caveat that if you see a software that maybe you haven't been tested, you haven't presented before, I always encourage accountants and everybody to say, let's just look into it. Let's check out what they're doing. Let's check out how they've been using it. And that can help correlate to maybe we have another software we can add to our tech stack. And I think, the problem is with a lot of that is that you can, or the easy thing is when a client comes to you, and if they're already using a software not part of your tech stack, you can usually tell if that software is going to be solid or not.
Yeah.
We've got a lot of clients that are using some type of software. They come to us, their books are a complete mess. And oftentimes it's because of the integration, it's not working or whatever. So I can oftentimes say, well, here's a clear indication is your books are a disaster or something's wrong with them because we're looking at this tech stack that you have and it just does not talk well with your core. core accounting system, whatever that might be. So, it's kind of taking all that together and saying, okay, where are we going to go from here? More often than not, when clients come to us, they don't have anything set up. They don't have a tech stack. They don't have these types of items. So they're taking and expecting us to present something to them.
Yeah.
And it goes back to kind of that first point is, as accountants, we need to feel that confidence to be able to recommend a tech stack because we've known it, used it, and believe in it, done the research on it, and we are the experts, and knowing that we're the experts, and the client wants us to present a change to them.
Yeah. Well, I can definitely say, like, we've obviously been subject to that because, we went through multiple demo sessions with your director of operations, Tony, to make sure that, he was comfortable with the Square Zero integration, looking just beyond the term integration, understanding, the account mapping side and how the output looks into Zero before rolling it out to your customers. It's something that obviously Tony did very diligently, and it just shows that when you as the expert have a deep, knowledgeable understanding of an integration, it makes the implementation for customers much easier as well. So yeah, I can definitely say that we've seen that firsthand from the guys at Insight as well.
Yeah, and I think there's so many times too that a software says, yes, we integrate with this or we integrate with that. But then when you start to look at that exact integration, it really isn't as simple or as helpful as they make it appear. They're using a Zapier or something like that, where it doesn't really integrate well. It's integrating, but it's not to the point that you'd expect it or want it to. And there might be another solution out there. And so I've always said this, I think software pieces can help make an accountant's job automate so much of it, take so much of our time away from, say, the data entry things, that we can focus on higher end services to our clients. But integrations, if not done correctly and if not fully vetted and tested, can also do the opposite. They can add hours to an accountant's plate. And that's why it's so important to kind of do that due diligence, do the testing, and fully understand what does that integration look like. If we're looking at account mappings, understanding what those account mappings are doing and how the software is processing those mappings, so that when it actually happens, it's being done correctly.
Yeah.
Because I would say when we run into problems with integrations, 85% of the time, it's simply because it was not initially set up correctly. The integration might work fine, but we have account mappings going to the wrong accounts, and that's causing all the financials to be incorrect or messed up.
Yeah, no, exactly. And I mean, you'll be aware as well, we offer a free guided setup because we know the value of that. Poisoning a customer's accounting software is very detrimental, especially if you have synchronization running on a daily basis. So again, that's why we see over 70% of accountants and bookkeepers setting up our integrations using that guided setup, because typically you'd expect small business owners to be using that because of their unknowingness of how data flows, but it's actually used more by those accountants and bookkeepers as well. So yeah, it's very interesting that you say that.
And that's what I love about you guys is taking the time in the front end of that relationship, because how important that's going to be to have a success. To have a client be very successful with your software, that it's got to get off on the right foot. And from there, that process is a lot easier. You have everything set up correctly and things start to get automated. But without that initial time being spent up front, who knows where that relationship or where that integration might go.
Yeah, no, definitely.